Stay in the dorm. Study qualitative research. Nick. Did you go anywhere? It's a long break, right? Did you go anywhere?
No, we didn't have the reading.
Oh, okay. Your instructor must be very, very bad. Okay. Asking you to do all sorts of work. Okay. All right. So, while we still waiting, anyone to come? Who is your group member? Tim. I have to change. Alright, okay. And over there? Oh, don't. Okay, and then over there? And then so we don't have. Okay. It's a long break afterwards. Okay. Alright, so today, oh good, Tima is here. Good. Hi. Okay. So you were here a bit earlier. Alright. And Tim is here. Good. Okay, right timing. Alright. So once again, let's recap a little bit of what we had last week. Okay, and then we're gonna move on to I think the most essential part of this course is interview, because the rest of the class you're gonna be you're gonna critique steadily, okay, using interview as a method, and then you're gonna conduct your own. Find a topic, integrating interview methods and techniques, and carry on a small portion of it, and that will be your final project. So the essence of today's unit is gonna be very influential. I think not only for this course, definitely it's gonna be very impactful. But most of the time, if you have the chance to read our master thesis, okay, developing this program, 90% of the master thesis, they incorporated interview as one of the methods. Okay, if they have quantitative, a lot of time they also incorporate interview too. Okay, so let's review and then we'll move on to interview. Okay, good. Let's go. No sound. So quiet. After a long break. Okay. Is it possible to find who? So, okay, we still have three people who believe it only relies on subjectivity. What about subjectivity? Definitely is part of it. Why? Why subjectivity is part of qualitative research? Last time we talked about this. Yeah, okay. And then you as a researcher, you yourself also play a role, right? Like what Rhys just said. You yourself, you decide what you want to focus, like what angle, what perspective, and you also play a role in the data collection process. However, it's not only about subjectivity. Why? Apparently, if it's not only about subjectivity, being subjective, what about other parts? Anyone? If it's not only subjective, then what else should it have? Huh? Objective, right? Okay. It's both subjective and also objective. In what ways, Elsa? Warrants.
Yeah.
Okay. Warrants. Yes, very good. And that's warrants, right? Because those are the things that you have to make sure that you go through. Okay. It's not whatever you feel like doing. There are some warrants to guarantee you have qualitative research. You want to say something?
There's fixed steps. You have to follow the topic step by step in order
still also some procedures, okay, some elements to incorporate. Okay, good, thank you. So it's objective and it's also subjective too at the same time, okay? Benjamin, where are you? Oh, okay. So fast! Oh my god! Okay, so could anyone name one advantage? One advantage. Tim, could you name one advantage?
It has a deeper you can have a deeper understanding on your topic or research questions compared to quantitative research.
Tim, your statement, I believe that if quantitative instructor, he was a no, okay. My approach also have a very deep understanding. Is that I think both sides have good understanding, deeper understanding, but it's just different approach. What are some of the things that could be probably approached or caught that probably wouldn't be that easy to be captured by quantitative research? What would that be? Huh? Experience, right? Participants' experience and insight, okay, or like personal accounts. That probably would be something that quantitative resurvey probably wouldn't be able to capture. Okay. What about disadvantage? Yeah? No approach or methods are perfect. Okay, so what are some of the disadvantages?
Predict something like the ideal answers from the response.
You're saying it's not easy to predict. Is that right?
Yeah, for example, like if we want to find out some kind of information that we would like to make in a way that is useful for our purpose, but the answer from the response is not the same way for us to make in the right way.
I am not quite sure what you want to say.
For example, like if I would like the result, I would like to have the result of my research is A, but the answer of the research is B. It's different from my expectation.
Okay. Although I think this could also happen in quantitative survey or study. You know, you kind of every researcher goes in or approach a topic with some hypothesis in quantitative study. They have some hypothesis, and so that's why they have survey and try to see whether it confirms the hypothesis or it contradicts with the hypothesis, right? But I think one of the disadvantages, okay, like what you said, is a lot of times it's full of uncertainty, because you are dealing with people and you are trying to understand experience. Human beings, it's hard to control human beings, what they think, how they're going to respond, and how they're going to behave. So that part, that uncertainty, is one of the disadvantages. You know that would be the best approach if I could interview this person. Okay? But a lot of time, it's not up to your own choice. Okay? If you want to do it, then you can do it. Probably it's not your own control. It's not like numbers. Okay? Not like survey questionnaire. You can just distribute and then ask people to choose. That will be easier. But when you are dealing with a person, remember just happened, what happened a couple of weeks ago. If you had the chance to read one of the headlines, I think a couple and two kids, they were kind of loud. So the person living downstairs just went upstairs and killed the parent in front of the two children. Have you read this news? It was, I think, right? Those from local. Because some kids just witnessed the whole process of somebody killing their parents. From the police perspective, they just want to figure out, make sure who killed your parents, and they want to interview the kids. But the issue right now is it the right time to interview the two kids right after they witnessed that their parents were being killed? So a lot of debates, right? So again, it's you know, if you want to know, but it's sometimes it depends on the whole situation. Okay. So and that becomes one of the disadvantages. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. I'm not so sure why some of you chose false. Okay. I believe that for those who chose false is what? Because you think that they are not certain set of criteria. The statement here is, although quantitative, there are not certain steps and standards that you must follow, but still there are certain criteria that we can use to judge whether this is qualified, good qualitative research. For example, remember last time we also talked about if you say that I interview this person rather than that person, you got to tell us why. That's one of the criteria. Remember? Last time we talked about qualitative research, you do not collect your information from laboratory, from a very controlled situation. That's one of the criteria of qualitative research. Okay? And those warrants, those conditions that you have to tell your readers very clearly who you as a researcher is, where you are from, what do you believe, okay, why are you doing this research. Those warrants, you have to make them clear, and those are also your criteria to judge whether this is a good qualitative study. Is that clear? So there are still some criteria to judge. If you could just, let's just interview him, I just ask him to talk about ABC, then it's not qualitative research. Okay? Remember the diagram last week, the so-called discipline or qualitative data collection process? There are certain conditions that we have to follow. Okay? All right? Jeffrey, where are you? Oh, okay. Yes, I think the presence of the researcher will affect the response of the subjects. Think about if you know the researchers very well when you being interviewed, when you are being interviewed, do you think that you will get the kind of response differently in comparison with somebody coming in that you don't know anything about this interviewer? Would you give the kind of response? So trust and how much you know about this researcher, your relationship will influence the different sets of data that you'll provide or you will get from that research site. Okay, we need to make this very aware, very conscious. That's why when you read qualitative study paper, they always talk about the relationship between the researcher and the research, because they acknowledge the relationship will make a difference. Okay, in data collection and data analysis. Okay, right. Okay, then all of you think that it can involve some numbers. When? If it can involve some numbers, when?
In questionnaire?
Huh?
In questionnaire?
Questionnaire?
Yeah.
Questionnaire?
No.
When? Like what?
When we collect the data from the questionnaire result, then we.
You mean that you ask them to mark strongly agree, strongly disagree?
Yeah.
Okay. Then why is it qualitative research?
Because we need to understand to somehow interpret the data based on the questionnaire, like when we finish grouping the data based on their answers. For example, how many percentage of people choosing strongly disagree and strongly agree, then we need to get the data result based on those numbers.
Okay, all right. So let's say, okay, good. Because I think qualitative research is descriptive in nature and exploratory in nature. So if, let's say, if you want to describe the person that you're going to investigate for one semester, okay? So how are you going to describe? A lot of times you will, for example, you will talk about the percentage of the male and female. If gender is an issue in your study, then this description is important. Okay, let's say you only have one girl and then 95% all males. Okay, that gives you some sense. Or how far that they have to, like the distance between the community and the school. This is also number. How much time it takes, okay, how many coursework. Okay, all those are numbers, and those can be used to describe and help the reader to understand the whole setting and situation, the context. Okay, and including descriptive statistics. Okay, we'll call this as like mixed methods, that you use qualitative numbers as description to describe, to give you an overall setting and picture. And then your focus is on the qualitative, for example, interview or observation data. Okay, that's what qualitative researchers would do. So if you have a misunderstanding, oh no, numbers, not at all, then I think kind of limit, okay, limit your understanding. You give a fuller picture of the context. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, let's see. Wow, we have, let's see, the findings are in the form of themes, alternative theories. Okay, yes. Okay, themes, what does it mean? So usually after their data analysis, they put them, major theme, they put them into categories, and then they give the theme, okay? So we will talk a little bit more after, I think when we talk about interview, we'll touch upon this, what does it mean by themes, okay? So usually when you have 10 people telling different stories, so how are we going to analyze the data? The first step is usually we label, we categorize. When we categorize similar data sets, then we give a theme, okay, under the similar category. So what is this all about? What is the theme of all these data sets? So A lot of time is about themes. And when you see different themes, then you will start to theorize. You say, if this happens, this usually happens. Okay, so that's the tentative theories. Okay, you are producing theory to explain what happened. Okay, when you have A, B, then you definitely see C. Okay, in this situation. In context B, you should have A, B, C, then you will see D. Alright, so that's another theory too. Okay, so usually, why is qualitative research so far still part of the approach? Because it gives you tentative theories for quantitative researcher to test the hypothesis in different contexts. Okay? So these two cannot separate it from each other. It has its own strengths. Okay? And what about it? It is concerned with individual producing subjective data. Yes, it is subjective data, although not only subjective. Okay, you are not only collecting subjective data. Okay. However, the researcher remains conservative about alternative explanation. This is not the characteristic because it's changing all the time. You bring in your assumptions, and then when you get into the field, a lot of time you realize that's not what you thought. Okay, so you have to be open-minded and then accept different alternatives. Okay, all right. Next one. Okay, so yeah, so warrant is, being based on which claims, if you want to make the claims, you have to tell us, okay, what are the warrants that you are based to make these claims, okay, make them clear, all right? So those are the warrants. We say that it's just conditions maybe, okay? These are the conditions under which I make this claim, these statements, okay, all right. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think this is kind of difficult, right? Not the disadvantage, which is not the disadvantage. So that means these three are the disadvantages of qualitative research. First of all, it's one of the disadvantages because the purpose is not meant to be representative. Okay, I'm not saying what is found here in this setting can be applied to all the settings. No. That's not the purpose of qualitative research. Okay, so definitely, it's not statistically representative. And a lot of quantitative people will say, so what is that for? Okay, it cannot be reproduced, okay, or generalized in other settings. What is that for? So they will claim that as the disadvantage. Okay. The second one, the quality of data makes analysis time consuming. Yes, okay. It is a lot more time consuming when you conduct qualitative data analysis. Okay, and that's why now we have a lot of apps or software to help qualitative researchers to do data analysis. And in this semester, I'll invite some researchers to come in, qualitative researchers, to share with us how to use softwares, okay, to help us enhance qualitative research to, okay, avoid or to improve this disadvantage, okay, because it's truly, when I was a graduate student, I do it manually all by myself, okay, and I remember the transcripts, 2 data sets, each of them 300 pages, so a total of 600 pages. So a lot of data to read and generalize the themes. Okay, so a lot of work. So if at that time, if I had software, I might have done faster. Okay, and then a bit different data findings or interpretations. Okay, and then what about this one? Replicating results could be challenging with qualitative research. Replicating, it's not that easy, definitely. It's not that easy. Why? Because it's really difficult to find similar instructors, similar settings, all the conditions are the same. Since they are so different, how are you going to replicate? Okay, it's really not like quantitative research. Okay, so this could also be a disadvantage of qualitative research. Okay? However, here, the presence of researcher in the process of the data gathering is avoidable. No, okay, because we have emphasized this quite a few times. It's not different researcher coming in and because of different relationship, you're gonna get very different data, Okay. Ooh. Okay, so what is now the advantage of qualitative research? Issues on confidentiality can pose problems. True, this is definitely not the advantage. Okay, confidentiality is the key. So you think about your teachers or participants, how you share with a lot of issues. Okay, some of them are quite personal. Okay, they might not tell anyone else but you. Okay, and you as a researcher, you want to reveal the issues. How can you reveal an issue and not reveal the identity of the participants, the interviewees? That poses a huge challenge. Okay, and that's why I think some of you raised the issue in your weekly reading log is how can we know that the interviewees are telling us the truth? How can we know? If they are telling us lies, can we find out? And why are they telling us lies? Why can't they tell us the truth? Because sometimes the truth could affect their status or affect or hurt someone else's feelings. Or somebody in a position might be under threat. Okay, so it could be detrimental. And so that makes the whole issue sometimes challenging and difficult. So confidentiality definitely is a key issue. That's why we have human subjects. Okay, to make sure the researchers really know what they are doing and to protect the identity and the privacy of your participants. Okay. It's not that crucial for quantitative because numbers, right? You wouldn't really reveal it much through numbers. But telling stories, showing feelings, sharing your experience, okay, some of your experience might be, okay, that the truth, your revealing of the experience could be harmful for someone. Okay. All right. Last one. Oh, okay. So fast. Done? Hey, hey, okay. Yes, it definitely, if you go back to the discipline that eager, it includes questions, the setting, and also definitely the warrants, all the conditions. But however, conclusion means that's the dead end. No. Conclusion, usually we will say claims, okay? Claims means that this is what we have found so far. Claims, okay? So it's open to other alternatives and findings or interpretations. It's the conclusion means that that's it. No, it's open, still open. If you have different researchers coming in, you might have different warrants and then different claims to be made. Okay, all right. Okay. Done? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Hey. Good. Okay. Frank? Where's Frank? Hey. Okay, good. Okay, Effie, I have something here. Okay, I have to say I've always 借花献佛. What does it mean? 借花献佛 means that somebody gives this as a gift, and so then I'll just share my gift with my student. Would that be okay, everyone? Would that be okay? Because I think gift is something, they feel like they want to have something, and right? To send this to you as a way to say hi or show their gratitude. But then I'll share this with my students, okay? I'm not so sure what is inside, but it's a gift, okay? All right, okay. Okay, all right. So I hope the purpose of all of this is just a way for me to recap what we had in the previous week. Did this help? Did this help? Did the review help? Huh? I hope that it helps because we really have to, it takes time to come up with all these questions, okay? And for me and LTA too. So I hope it helps, okay? Do we need to have this part before we move on to the new unit? Do you think this is helpful? Okay, so then I'll continue doing this, okay? It takes time, but I think if it's helpful, I'm very willing to do it. Okay, all right. Now let's move on to our new unit. And I read your questions, okay? Two main issues that I would like to point out right now before we go through the whole unit. One is, what is the difference between reports versus accounts? Okay, a lot of people's questions. What does it mean when we look at the interviewees' transcripts, the interview data, okay? So this textbook tells us we should not take the interviewees' reports. Rather, look at their interview data or transcriptions as accounts. Oh, what does that mean? Reports versus accounts, okay? The second one is, how do we know if they are, the interviewees are telling us the truth? Okay, how can we trust the data, the interview data from our interviewee? Okay, could you briefly talk about your response to these two issues? I want to know, where are you right now, okay, before we get started. The first one, what does that mean? Perhaps some of you in your group might know the difference between the two? Reports versus accounts, okay? That's the one. And second one, how do we know? And how can we, the point for a researcher is, how can we avoid, right? Avoid being told lies, okay? All right, okay, so go ahead. 2 questions, 2 issues to discuss. This is so interesting. I got to say something, all right? You as graduate student, perhaps a few years older than my undergraduate students. Right now when I have my undergraduate, first year undergraduate students, I'm so surprised that I will not be able to see any paper. No paper. No, even no pencils, no pens, nothing on the table except cell phone and laptop. That's it. When I say, oh, turn to page, and then nobody is turning anything. Are they in different generation now? I feel like me and them are in different generation. What about you in high school? The same?
You mean using?
Laptop?
No,
No. I mean, do they still use this?
yeah.
Eh?
High school use
High school still use
this.
this?
Yeah.
So what the difference is we are 19th century born and they are 21st.
21st?
We are 20th century. We are
Okay.
21st.
So 1 century difference, right? We are what now?
Oh, you're
Not the difference.
But I was very surprised because the first time I said, okay, now let's turn to page, and then I see nobody is turning anything. Nobody. I thought, huh? So I'm the only one who is holding the paper form. Okay, then I realized, oh my God, it's a different generation, different literacy behaviors. Okay, and I end up have to show them the page number on the screen. Otherwise, I'm not sure how I'm gonna talk to them. Yes, definitely they can look at their laptop. Okay, but it's just different feelings. I like this personally, but I'm not saying they are wrong. But we just have very different reading behaviors. Okay. Do you still read papers? I see some of them using papers. Okay. All right. Angela, do you read papers too? Okay, you like to read on the screen. And why? Because you want to save, okay. You don't, okay. So for you, it's, you don't want to spend the money on the printing. Okay, what about others? What about you?
The
Huh?
paperback. I like screen paper, but it is more convenient.
Because convenience, okay. What about you?
Convenient because I don't need to spend time shop.
Okay, because you don't have to spend time, go to the printing shop to get it printed. Okay. And what about you? Why you want to use this paper form? Because it's easier to take notes. What about those using iPad? How are you going to take notes?
Underline.
Underline
Underline.
highlighters. Oh, you can still underline.
Yeah.
Okay. But did you write anything?
You can type.
Type? Oh, insert and type your notes.
Yes.
I see. What about you? Huh?
I usually use computer,
You usually use computer?
but because I feel like I'm harming my eyes, so I just
Another reason she doesn't want to harm her eyes because it could be very, very sore to read through the screen. Okay. What about you, Dima? See? And then there's another. How can you read through cell phone? It's so small.
I know, but the problem is my cord doesn't reach to the electric discharge, so I can use my computer, but also it's too costly to print every document like this.
Okay.
I have to go far away because sometimes printer is just over for some reason.
Okay. All right. So, like I feel like perhaps in a few years later, okay, even in graduate school, I might see this. Okay, laptop with documents. See? Yeah. Okay. Now, okay. Hey. So let's give you about 3 to 5 minutes to talk about the difference between accounts and reports. Okay, go ahead.
This is
I just know the definition of accounting is the chapter 9, right? Pick out a report.
Really good way to
Say it in the dictionary.
Or a report.
I mean, like when he was applied to this article,
I didn't send you the interview.
the consulting reporting, the next step is called
And then you didn't ask me.
Part like we focus on accounting and focus on
Legal
even though my parents and kids especially on kids really get you should get those and that's for what report not just should be you would take the person relationship between so the response is the individual will always subject to
if what?
because the response very depends on relationship between the interview
At this part, report, if we see where to go, each field.
It's like one friend get the response and say here's control. It's like let's have one and then yo. It's a kind of not, it's not really a friend. Someone on the internet you don't know, but they will leave comments. Yeah, so news.
Okay, so what about Subjective because it's
Because it's closer to how researchers think.
because it's
They might have personal bias towards what they
okay. See, like you use the term personal bias, so it's negative.
Not always, but yes, sometimes.
What could be a more neutral way to say instead of personal bias? Personal preference or interest, interpretations, okay, or perspective. Okay, I think perspective. We cannot ignore the fact that we all have our own perspective. And you could say that's a bias. But you could also say it's a perspective. Okay. All right, very good. What about this group? Reports versus accounts.
Oh, okay. I would think that, what we discussed. Oh, yeah. What, yeah, hold on. I didn't get enough students, sorry. Account
Okay.
reflects the personal relationship. So the interview data you get may not be so accurate. Wait, hold on. No. I remember, we have like fixed relationship in account, right? So like student and teacher, we need to treat our interviewees more like, account. Something like the teacher wants the student to respond, to say something. What am I saying?
Anyone who want to add or?
So,
Okay.
to put it simply, the response very depends on the relationship between the interviewer and interviewee. That's the account. What? Account.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the researchers' relationship between the researcher and researched, okay, counts in this account. So that is account rather than reports. Okay, that's what you said. What about this group?
We think that our report light is convey the same record, like people record or outline ideas in a general idea, outline a general ideas, and then the account means that they are give comments or focus on details about their report, about the general idea that they have created.
Okay, so you think accounts add more interpretations? Okay, all right. Oh, anything this group wants to add?
Okay, so I assume that
Only you? Okay. So no discussion?
we don't have the same conclusion.
Okay, so then personally, what do
Yeah,
you
personally, I think the reports, when we read the reports, we don't know much about this reporter. And for the accounts, it's like an internet account, so we have our personal information inserted in this account. So the background is quite difficult because when we use the data for account, it's for individuals and personal account have different interpretation around this, but for the reports, it's more objective and we have to consider both sides.
Hey, I like this group and how this is the first time I listened to a student explaining the difference between the two, and I think it makes a lot of sense. One is reports. It's like a reporter. When we read a report, we don't have to care about who. A lot of time, we don't really have to care about the reporter that much, right? We care about what is being reported. Okay, so it's objectively telling us what's going on here. But accounts, and what he said is, for example, we have to, why you need an account? Because you have to key in, fill in, and tell us who you are. Okay, so the people, the person, the researcher gives this account means that it's showing where the researcher is coming from and what purpose this piece of data for. Okay, what are the purpose and why do they want to conduct this research? Okay, what is being, under what kind of situation that this is being selected? Okay, so it's not only there, but tell you where and how and why those transcripts are being selected and interpreted. So much more. Okay. So in a nutshell, reports is objectively giving you data sets, but accounts are provided based on, from the beginning, the research purpose, the researcher's angles, and a lot of times the researcher's own interpretation about why those sets are being selected. Okay, so now can you tell the difference between these two? Okay, all right, so now let's take a break.
Yeah, skate is very famous one. Skate. And to compare
Alright, all I can say is that you have very good eyesight. Not me. For me, it's very difficult to read this small screen.
Great information, but just say my eyes, it's not just that.